Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about a serial killer named Jeffrey Dahmer. He is an American serial killer and sex offender named Jeffrey Dahmer. In his lifetime, he killed over the dozen people, including 17 men, between the year of 1978 and 1991. Additionally, borderline personality disorder and a psychotic disorder were also identified in Dahmer as mental illness. His childhood background is: on May 21, 1960, Dahmer was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Lionel Dahmer is of German and Welsh ancestor as opposed to Joyce Dahmer, who was of Norwegian and Irish descent. Some rumors claim that Dahmer was neglected as a child. Nevertheless, some stories claim that Dahmer's parents loved him while he was a newborn and toddler, even though his mother was well known for being tense, attention-seeking, and combative with her husband. Educational background: Dahmer was a highly active and cheerful child when he was in school. He was given a double hernia diagnosis when he was a little child, and after the surgery, he reportedly returned with a pessimistic outlook that remained with him. Teachers noticed his reclusive behavior and emotional abandonment when he transferred to an elementary school. In addition, he didn't have many friends at school. After he received his high school diploma, his father paid for him to attend Ohio University for his college career. Because of his bad grades, absences from class, and heavy drinking, he was expelled from his college after just 3 months. He also enlisted in the American Army as a medical specialist. His performance in the Army was exceptional. Several months later, due to his alcoholism, Army officials wanted to suspend Dahmer in 1981, but instead they granted him an honorable discharge. Jeffrey Dahmer's criminal history. Early in his 20s, Dahmer tried to kill his friend Stephen Hicks, who was 19 at that time. In 1978, Dahmer and Hicks had intended to attend a rock concert that day. Hicks was at Dahmer's home when he fatally struck him on the skull with a 4.5 kg dumbbell and then continued to have sex with his body. About addition, he used a sledgehammer to crush his bone, which he then dispersed about his property. He used horrific method to murder over 17 boys between 1978 and 1991. Then on July 25, 1991, the police detained him. His nature of offense: Stephen Hick, a hitchhiker who Jeffrey Dahmer picked up on his way home from a mall, was the victim of his first murder in June 1978. 9 years later, in September 1987, Dahmer would kill Stephen Tomey, his second victim. The following month, in October 1987, Dahmer would kill his third victim, Richard Guerrero. His fourth victim was not killed until March of the following year, 1988. This is the year Dahmer began removing trophies from his victims, with the first being Mr. Spears' head and genitalia. In 1989, Dahmer murdered his fifth victim, Anthony Sears, a 24-year-old model. In 1990, Jeffrey Dahmer began to claim more victims. He did so in 3 separate incidents over the course of 3 weeks, in May, June, and September of that year. The previous time Dahmer killed someone was in 1991, but this year was the deadliest yet, with 8 victims falling prey to Jeffrey Dahmer. So, Dahmer finally was apprehended by the police in July after Tracy Edwards was able to flee and locate the officers who eventually nabbed Jeffrey Dahmer. Nature of Jeffrey Dahmer. How Jeffrey Dahmer got caught and his trail. 22nd July 1991 was the day Jeffrey Dahmer was apprehended. He was trying to snap nude images of Tracy Edwards, a man who was in his flat at the time. When Tracy smelled the place, he decided to leave. When Dahmer wasn't looking, Jeffrey hit him in the face while only handcuffing one of Tracy's hands, which Tracy was able to free. Tracy found two policemen as she fled the premises, and they later apprehended Jeffrey. In 1994, an inmate shot and killed Jeffrey Dahmer after he acknowledged to his crimes and went on trial, where he was given 16 life sentences. Offender typology. Dahmer is categorized as a disorganized killer based on his crime scenes. Irresponsible and disorganized killer will make decisions on the spot. Disorganized killers, in contrast to organized killers, frequently lack a personal mode of transportation and commit their crimes close to where they dwell. Dahmer was always coming up with justification for his behavior or even the stench of his flat whenever he was apprehended by the police or even his neighbors. He never had anything planned out and was incredibly disorganized when committing crimes. He kills nearby his current residence, which is another sign that he is an ad hoc killer. It was the jogger who ran by his home when he still lived with his folks. When he still resided in his flat, he would pick up his victims from the nearby gay club. Jeffrey Dahmer fits the hedonistic comfort killer and just killer typologies of criminal profiling. A comfort killer usually kills for some type of temporary benefits or other advantages that will provide some type of comfort. A sexual predator who kills out of passion will have greater sex fulfillment the more suffering and mutilation they cause to their victim. Jeffrey kills people in order to have company and someone who would never leave him. This is a result of being neglected and abandoned as a youngster. Additionally, he tortures his victim long after they have passed away because he fantasizes about converting them into real-life zombies. Risk factors. There were several painful events in Jeffrey's life, particularly during his boyhood, which had a significant impact on his life. While many of these experiences had a profound impact on his mind, demeanor, interests, and who he was as a person, they did not transform him into a serial killer. These elements are: his parents beat him up and were constantly bickering. His father taught him an odd pastime. His surgery had a significant impact. Risk factor hobbies. When Lionel did have time for Jeffrey, he would take him out to gather roadkills and show him how to dissect and bleach the skin and fur of the dead animals. Not your typical father-son activity, really. This exercise not only sparked some of his fantasies that would later rule his life, but it also taught him how to perform these strange feats at such a young age. Risk factor that neglected. Every youngster deserves to feel secure and cherished at home. For Jeffrey, this was not the case. His parents were frequently arguing and didn't have time for him. Unfortunately, Jeffrey never had the opportunity to learn important lessons from both parents or to feel that connection, which is an essential aspect of childhood. He also witnessed verbal abuse from his parents at an early age firsthand. Surgery risk factor. When Jeffrey underwent a double hernia operation at the age of 4, His parents would characterize him as a typical active child. According to reports, he was never the same after the surgery, never mentally healed, and has since cut off contact with his loved ones. Lionel thinks that the reason he took those actions was because of this procedure. It's possible that his surgery changed something in him, but it's unlikely that it made him a serial killer. These are the references. You can go and check more about it. Thank you.